Many thanks for still staying with us. Don't forget, this is still a new day on Signature Television, and we want to hear from you. So I invite you to go on over to our social media platforms on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. Go like, follow, share, and of course, comment. Well, we are still talking about the resilience of, the Igboman. We are discussing the resilient spirit of the Igboman and motivations. What is it that sets the Igboman ticking? What is that driving force? Well, we're going to be talking about it here and now. And our guest in the studio is Sir Martin Ani. He is a public affairs analyst, and he has graciously accepted to come and give us his perspective on this subject matter. Good morning, Sir Martin.
Yeah, good morning, Cheesy. It's a pleasure.
How are you doing? You look dashing, by the way.
Oh, lovely.
Is that
We
part of the
thank God.
resilience of the Igbo man?
Of course, we will always survive no matter the situation. The
All
Igbo
right.
man will keep
All right. So
struggling on.
you have headed strategic posts in the past.
You sure?
In the civil
Service,
service as a public servant,
Yeah.
I beg your pardon, as a public servant, and also you have a stint at international organizations as a
Sure.
research officer.
Yeah.
Tell us, you have served in these different, arenas, right, of endeavor.
Yeah.
Tell us how resilience has kept you, even as an Igbo man. If you have a particular experience that you want to share with us, please go ahead with that.
Yeah. Talking about the resilient spirit of the Igbo man, it talks about the can-do spirit, your ability to survive in whatever situation you find yourself. Your ability to depend on, maybe you say depend on God and on self-help. When you look around, you find out that there's nothing you can do, no one to help you. Then you decide to help yourself so you could survive. And by the way, when we talk about the Igbo man, the Igbo tribe is the only tribe that doesn't go beyond Nigeria. We are just located in the southeast. Have you thought about it? In the north, you have the Hausa spanning through Nigeria, Niger, and the whole of Sahel up to Mali, and having one common language. You have the Kanuris, you can hear them elsewhere, in Mali, the Songhai Empire, all the places. They are one. They can always relate as they cross from one country to the other. But Igboman is located in the southeast, just between River Niger and then Ebonyi, within Kogi, Benue boundaries, and Abia, Enugu, and then towards rivers. And that is it. And we are done. So wherever you cross, you meet other tribes. So the Igbo man had to be very ingenious, how to find a way to survive. And that is why today, even though we are located locally within here, but today we are all over the world because the Igbo man had to find a way to survive. And how do we survive? We had to travel the whole of Europe. We have to travel all over.
That thought. There's something that just occurred to me. Don't forget, we are discussing. We're going to be talking about your resilient spirit.
Yeah.
Your personal experience.
We'll
get there. But this is what I wanted to ask you because of what you said.
Yeah.
You said because of the geographical location of the Igbo man, he had to be ingenious in devising ways to survive.
Exactly.
But many schools of thought would say it's because of the Biafran Civil War. That nearly brought these people to extinction. That was the major motivation for this ingenuity and resilience. How do you relate to the two?
Yeah, I agree with such persons who hold such views. Mind you, we have the first phase of the Igbo man, surviving alongside Nigerians, occupying most of the strategic positions in the north, west, because they were more educated than others, because they were more intelligent. With due respect to
that's
other
a bold
tribes.
statement to make.
So other tribes, they are listening, they are watching. But I can tell you that prior to 1960, our forebears were all over the Plateau State, all over Sokoto, all over heading schools as principals, as headmasters. Remember during the war, they had to run back. In fact, I attended a burial ceremony yesterday where they said the woman was pregnant, a teacher in the north, and they had to use the last train that was available to return before 1967 so they can escape that pogrom. And the woman came back a teacher. She died yesterday, 81. The mother of late Mrs. Anichukwu, the mother of the current SA to the governor on external relations, Mazuchi Anichukwu. And they said when the woman came back, she gave birth to that baby, but the baby died.
Probably
afterwards
it was
because of the stress. So she came back with her head, but it lost the pregnancy because of the stress. So what are we trying to say? The Igboman had faced the first stage of surviving alongside Nigerians, even continued to be resilient, traversed the whole Nigeria. We were living right inside the outsiders, relating with them, selling drugs. In fact, you see an Igbo man, I remember late Matthias, Honorable Matthias Ekweremadu Jr. He went to Plateau.
Was that the father of...
no, the younger brother.
The younger brother?
Yes.
Oh, the late...
Dengi,
the
former
lawmaker.
chairman.
The
Lawmaker,
lawmaker.
exactly. We call him Ezigbo Dengi from Plateau because while he was in Plateau, he opened a small shop and discovered that the people he is living with, they neither knew their left from their right. So he had to engage in a lot of business in that one shop. He had a pharmacy shop, he had provisions, he had parts, he had everything, and he was thriving, and he became very successful and very wealthy and very prominent in that community that they gave him Ezigbo Dengi. So that's the spirit of the Igbo man. Then we hadn't issues of tribalism until the Civil War came in. Then Igbo man became an enemy to other members of the society. And that was that's why I said the first stage, we were still resilient, pushing, like I said. We didn't have our phobias in Benin Republic. If you go to the Benin Republic, if you speak Yoruba, you are at home.
So resilience had been established
from
before the Civil War.
Even before the Civil War. It only got a new high after the Civil War.
Now tell me.
Because the Civil War had to push all of us back, and we are struggling to survive.
You know what they say?
And pressed us.
When you squeeze an orange, what comes out
is
the juice of the orange.
Yeah,
so I guess the Civil War squeezed the Igbo man and brought out the resilience that was already in him.
The best.
Now, in simple terms,
that is why today, instead of, if you come to the Southeast, the other day you remember that former President Buhari visited Onitsha, and he was surprised that the place they demolished had a lot of houses that sprang up in the whole of that area. That is the resilient spirit we are talking about. The never say die spirit, like your former guest was speaking. Talking about Rangers and never say die spirit. No matter what happens, they keep soldiering on. So you could see houses all over Onitsha today. They are finding it difficult to even get land. Each time you get a plot of land, you build 5 stories, 4 stories.
And the funds are being generated in all the markets in Onitsha.
In Onitsha, say, main market, Obete,
it's truly commendable.
Everywhere.
Truly commendable.
So that's why I say we had the first stage and then the second stage. So whichever way you look at it, we've been resilient, we've been forging ahead, we've been facing obstacles. We never believed that obstacles could stop us. But then we're going to look at the current resilience that is completely amiss. That is completely neither here nor there.
Let's do it.
And that is the current stage we are now in Igbo land, that people love money more than their brother. And that is a very dangerous trend that needs to stop. Otherwise, we are headed for Armageddon in the Southeast. So if you want me to delve into that, thank God for what the governor of Anambra is currently doing. It looks as if he has been sleeping all over the years. He is one governor, I respect quite a lot, because I happen to know quite a lot of his current executive
and policies,
council members.
Okay.
I know how, they are top-notch experts in their various fields. I know a lot of his commissioners. I don't know when they will start mentioning names.
No,
Dr. Lomefo is there.
It's not necessary.
You know, Professor, so quite a lot of them. And I know. So, but then you ask yourself, what has been happening in Anambra for the past 3 years under Governor Soludo? Each time I visited, the roads were still under construction. Ad infinitum, as if the resources are not there.
But then let's go back to
his
fight.
Good. Yes. So, like I said, it's a resurgence, it's a reawakening, it's a renaissance.
What prompted this trend? What started this trend?
What started this trend that have, you know, some...
Sorry to cut you short. So we can give perspective to our discussion.
Sure.
There was the pre-war resilience,
yeah.
and there was the
post-war
resilience.
Exactly. And
now this current resilience, we know that it was the war that probably stimulated the post-war. Exactly. What was it that that stimulated this current
misguided? Are you with me on that?
Okay.
I'm saying we have the current misguided trend to survive. To make it, which is antithetical to the Igboman's belief. Why am I saying this? The Igboman loves money currently. And that's why, let me take it up from Soludo, from Governor Soludo, and then return back to this. So currently there is a fight, a very strong fight. It's not just physical, the way you're seeing it. I am seeing it from the spiritual point of view, that God is using Soludo to fight and clamp down on these misguided religious activities, where people are asked to bring human head, where people are asked to, do you know, it was shocking to me. I was in Abuja last month. I couldn't believe myself when I read a piece of news that said a man was taking, an Igbo man, was taking the wife that was in labor to the hospital. The man didn't have a bike, the man didn't have a car like some of us may do. And the man was hurrying the wife, calling her and moving through the pathway to the main road where they could get a means of transportation to the place, and they ran into some guys. And the man thought that the guys were coming to assist. Lo and behold, the guys, as the man was explaining to them, my wife is in labor, we are rushing. They said, there is a woman that is in labor that they are looking for ritual. Lo and behold, they took the man another way and took the woman another way. Lo and behold, the man, when they left him, he was looking for the wife, only to find the wife somewhere, killed, with the baby extracted and dumped somewhere. And what are we saying? Someone somewhere, one foolish man has told such a person that you need a stillborn baby to come to our shrine. They will do a money making whatever ritual for you, so that you will become prosperous. Who taught us all this? And we are talking about young guys, 20 years, 30 years, less than 30 years. The former lawmaker that was killed, Justice Azuka, young guys, 30 years, what were they looking for? They took his 100 million. They wanted to be rich overnight, because right now, the Igbos are missing it. And that is why we need a reawakening to return us back to our consciousness. Before then, you talk about one day for 1 year, Onyaga and 1 year. But how come people from the same town, instead of helping their brother's wife who is pregnant without any form of fear, compassion, they killed the woman and took the baby.
That the age is the age bracket.
Exactly.
Now, would you say that this is a breakdown of family values?
Exactly.
Did the parents drop the ball at some point?
The parents may have not completely, lost their mentorship and ability to parent and all that, but these children are all over the social media, reading that once you have money, you can do anything. And as long as they are concerned, they are no more ready to become a boy to one big trader, to learn the ropes for 5 years and be settled. He will tell you, oh, you're wasting your time. Oh, these 5 years is like you were in the grave. You'll be in the grave for the next 5 years. Why don't you come? We just kidnap one man here, my uncle. It could be his uncle. It could be his auntie. We'll pick him up, go to one corner, dump him there, clamp him down, and then make a call to the family, and then we raise 20 million, and you buy a G-Guard. I mean, what about that? And, you know, they will be brainwashing them. And before you know it, that young guy in your street who you used to give money to assist and say, continue with your studies, it shall be well with you. Before you know it, he's driving a Benz. And he will tell you, oh, God has blessed him. And then the parents, some may accept it. So there is a value disorientation as well. There are issues with our values, family values. We don't stay together again. We don't ask, where did you bring this cap from? Or who gave you this phone? Or how come you are giving this amount? You are paying this, you are buying this, or you bought a house. When did you build this house? A house doesn't just grow in a day, but they are told today, oh, okubo no, okuba moto. You don't save again to buy anything. You just wake up one night, money is in your whole room, and you pack it, and there is so much belief that money is everything among the Igbos now, more than any other tribe in Nigeria. And that's why I said there's a misguided.
Yeah, would you also blame it on the society? Because yes, we've made it abundantly clear that the family values have completely broken down. Yeah. Now, what about the society? What about the larger society, where an individual or individuals, young people will be put in a house for a period of time. They do all manner of things. They sleep together. They go naked. They do all manner of fight and things like that. And at the end of the day, they all come out richer. At the end of the day, they all come out and become special assistants.
I agree with you.
While on the other hand,
those who are working,
those who are not just working, reading their books, studying, making good grades, nobody talks to them about it.
Okay, I will take you briefly to the one they call Big Brother Niger. Big Brother Niger. You are a young lady. We see a whole lot of young ladies, young men come on board, stay in a house for a period. Sometimes they display all manner of immorality, which they consider no more immorality, and display all manner of foolishness, which they consider as wisdom. Because the Bible says that the wisdom of the world is foolishness before God. And the thing the world considers foolishness is wisdom before God. That is the truth. So what are we trying to say? At the end of the day, organizers will package 150 million, a wonderful car, endorsement to travel all over the world for a lady who has exposed all parts of her body. So we are losing it, and the society is not helping matters. And that's why, like you said, what is society doing? We know. I don't want to start talking about the inability of government to cater for your welfare, to assist you through school. Like they were assisted to go to school through scholarships programs, which they were told to, they were told to reimburse after many years. You know, last year one lawmaker, said, "Oh, I was part of the people that benefited from Nigeria. I have calculated what loan my scholarship was, my bursary was, or whatever, and I want to repay back." And he repaid around 2 million, according to him, with interest and all that. So those are the generation that are leading us today. What they benefited. I know there is a lot of issues with the society. After school, no job. Even our education system is in comatose, is almost dead. Children want to just get certificates for the sake of getting certificates. All
right, we'll still go back to the resilience of Igboman, but I know but this is important
because of the leadership.
Now,
begin to do horrible things.
We've talked about the family. We've talked about society. Let's talk about the church.
Okay.
What has the church been doing? Because the church has not been sleeping. Yeah. I do know that you're a Knight of St. Christopher, so sure. I'm right in asking you this question.
Fine.
What I know that even most family has actually outsourced the raising of their kids to schools, others, to society, to others, to churches. But the church, nonetheless, has a role to play in all this.
Yes, the role of the church. As a Christian, I'm talking as a Christian, the church has become a business. So I'm sorry if I tell you that most of the churches are into business today. And why are they making matters worse? Because I want to put it to them that most of the churches are making matters worse for the generation that we are raising today, including...
How so?
How is this? Let me tell you, in most of the churches, you are not recognized until you are wealthy. That you come to clean the church, make it neat. Oh, a wonderful member of the arm that cleans the church and makes it neat for us. You are not recognized. Or you sing very well and all that. Most of them do not recognize you. But as long as you make money, no matter how you make it, nobody's going to ask you, give you a paper to say, write how you made this money before we collect it from you. As long as you make it, you will be highly recognized in the church. You will be given front seat. You will be given certain position, even position to preach. Sometimes you are given such positions because they believe that once you make money, everything is okay. So what am I trying to say? Even some of the general overseers, some of the bishops, their lifestyle, ostentatious lifestyle, makes the youth to believe that, look, everything is money. Make money. And then you will be recognized. If the GO has a private jet, not one, not two, has a big mansion, the young man visits the mansion and sees how big the place is, sees cars, sees lovely children, sees a lovely wife, sees, all the goodies of life. Tell me how he will go back and believe that he should continue to pray to God and be patient to become wealthy. No. Most of the churches are missing it. And they are complicating issues.
All right.
Yes, and most of the Igbos are predominantly Christians.
Yes.
In quote. Because I don't think the life of Christ is still there. It's almost churchgoers. That's the bulk of what we have in Igbo
All right,
land.
so the recurring...
So what I'm trying to say is that the church needs to wake up.
Wake up.
Spiritually. Yes, spiritually. And leave the things of the world. Yes, God said we will be prosperous and wealthy, but God didn't say we should live so ostentatiously as though everything starts and ends with how money. Everything boils down to money.
All right, so the recurring decimal for me here is oppression of some sort.
Okay.
Where the young ones are looking at leaders, whether it be church leaders, political leaders, and these were assuming a lot of influence. They feel oppressed, and they feel the only way to match them is to make the money.
Exactly.
In any way.
In any way. Of course, like you mentioned.
And the human spirit, abhors oppression.
Oppression.
So this is their way of responding to the oppression that they are seeing.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the way forward?
They also believe that the church is not telling them the truth. The political leaders are not telling them the truth. Like you mentioned, once they make that money, they can vie for election and win a position because they can share rice, share money to the constituents or electorate, and then they will be elected. But you have a good name, you have good character, you are doing well, you care for community.
You are even seen as a non-conformist.
Exactly. You are even seen as someone who doesn't know what he is doing, what he or she is doing. So what can be done? That's what you're saying. The church needs to go back to where the church started. The church didn't start with all the skyscrapers. It didn't start with general overseers having all the living as though they are Dangote. They are not doing any business. So why would they take the offering of the church and be living so large? No, that is an error. That's not what God has called the church leaders to do. Why would they recognize those who have money more than those who are devoted to serving God? So the church needs to go back. Otherwise, the society will be difficult, especially the Igbo land will be difficult to recover currently. Because you keep hearing this word, the church is calm. Church is calm. Because they come to church and see the bishop or the priest living so big. So for them, prayer, fasting, and all that doesn't make any sense. You go and get money and then you'll be put in front seat. So the church needs to go back to what God had called them to do in Matthew 28, to evangelize the world and make disciples of all men. And make sure that people are saved. What Bible says in Matthew 6:33, what shall it profit you if you gain the whole world and lose your soul in hell? So what are they telling the youths? That money is more important than the soul. That by, you can actually tell me you love me, but by your action, you're actually showing me that you hate me. So the church needs to go back to the Great Commission of Matthew 28. Why would people be bringing tithe and bringing offering in a church, and they've not eaten for the day, and the pastor doesn't care, and they are building skyscrapers. Who is going to live in those skyscrapers? How many years do they have to spend here? Yes, at most 100 years, and they say you've lived very long.
Very long.
But eternity is more than 100 years.
Definitely.
So why would those souls be tempted to do certain things wrong when you have the resources that you would have used to put them into useful ventures?
All right.
Do you think God will applaud those attitudes? No.
All right.
So the church needs to go back, then the society needs to go back and teach people about entrepreneurship. Teach people about hard work, that it pays. Teach people about patience. There are virtues. The Bible calls this Holy Spirit this thing.
Fruit
of the Holy Spirit. Yes. There are patience, there is gentility, there is quietness. I was asking someone, why is this part of your studio, the road broken, and the other part? He told me that at the time that some people had to break it because car snatchers were taking cars from this place and taking into the express and going to Onisha. Because one is living on self-help. Oh, let me just make it. All this struggle is too much. All this suffering is too much. One block, one year, one block. How will I finish this house?
Same oppression we're talking about.
Exactly.
All right, so let's get
it's
to...
almost a kind of mental oppression. You
Yeah.
know, people are now trying to struggle out, by all means, break out.
Give us a story,
Yeah.
your personal story of
Yeah.
resilience. There
Yeah.
must have been countless,
Yes.
both in a place of work,
Sure.
as a public servant.
Yeah.
Just let us know, or probably your family, there was a struggle.
One
Let
of
us
one of my
on it.
stories of resilience,
Resilience.
I will tell you, is that I was working with an international organization. I was very, very well. There's no part of the world I have not traveled to. I had my life clearly cut out what I want to be within period because I was doing very well. But there was a conspiracy. And then I was yanked off, from the system. So, but then, the resident spirit of the Igboman in me enabled me to survive till death. Doing what the Igboman can do for himself, run into real estate, no proper training, not my area. But then I started.
You learned on the job.
Exactly. And today, I have forgotten that challenge I faced. Instead of committing suicide, feeling that the world is collapsing on me and all that. But today, I'm very strong, very focused, knowing that gradually I could build things on my own and get to where I want to go and still give my family the life they deserve without giving up. And I do not bemoan the conspirators. I do not want to start mentioning the tribe.
That's another,
because somebody will tell you,
another angle
exactly.
of the resilience.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because
not begrudging or holding grudges.
No. Because if you do that, you will never be focused.
I'm thinking Nelson Mandela right now, but he's not part of the conversation.
Exactly. So, because if you keep begrudging, you will lose direction. Because each time you want to possibly revenge, possibly, what do they call it? Harming someone that didn't do you anything. Misgreed or transferred aggression. Possibly you begin to hate, you begin to prototype people, what do they call it? Stereotype people. Oh, they are from this area. They are the ones that did me that thing. So they are the ones that so you begin to stereotype them. Oh, there is no Yoruba man that is good. Oh, there is no Hausa man that is good. In the Yorubas, you have the best of the good. In the Hausa land, you have terrible of the good. In Igbo land, you have bad.
Same thing.
Everything. Everywhere you go, you have good people. You have bad people. So you need to be very careful because it's a mixed multitude.
Sure.
Yeah. So you don't need to stereotype. When you fall down, you pick yourself up, dust yourself up, and move forward. Because God is in control.
Yeah, absolutely.
No matter what happens.
The Bible says that the earth is the Lord.
The earth is of the Lord. So if God wants you to become who He wants you to be tomorrow, possibly the next High Chief Dokwesi, you will get there.
Sure. But you have to work with God.
But you have to work first.
Yes.
You have to work and believe in God. The challenge today is that people wake up, pray to God, go to the Igboman is worst in Anambra. In the morning, they are in church. Midday, they are in church. After school, they are in church. Midnight, they are in church. What? God says, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and to God what belongs to God. How would you finish praying?
When do you eventually work?
Exactly. When is now time for you to go to your workshop or your business place to open it up?
At least give God something to bless.
Exactly. So that God will now bless you. You are still in the same church. That's foolishness. And that's why the Bible, Paul ordered that the Thessalonian church, that anyone who would not work should not eat. Because even God understood the place of working and the place of prayer.
So let me take you back.
You must pray, you must work. Yes. You don't just take your time for business and you begin to pray. And take for time for prayer and you begin to do business. They can't work.
Let me take you back to the post-Civil War era.
Okay.
While you were recounting your personal experience with your workplace and how you were yanked off, it reminded me of this documentary I saw of Cyprian Ekwensi, the foremost writer.
Yeah.
After the war, you know that everybody lost everything.
Yeah, we were given
just
five
pounds.
So.
5 pounds or 20 pounds.
Yeah, 20.
So 20 pounds. So everybody lost everything. Cyprian Ekwensi was, I guess, a civil servant when the war broke.
Exactly, in Lagos.
But
was it?
Just after the war, there was this documentary, and he was captured selling plastics.
Exactly.
At now Holy Ghost. That area.
Exactly.
And it was something he said that touched me while he was being interviewed by the white journalist. He said he's proud as long as what he's doing is legal and he's not hurting, and as long as he's putting food on his table. How do we get our young ones to see that side of life and embrace that side of life?
Exactly. I was watching a reel 2 days ago, and a documentary, and then the owner of Seahorse, Dr. Ebuka. No. Dr. Ebuka is the owner of Seahorse Lubricant.
Okay.
They were interviewing him in his factory. He owns a very big factory along on the road, somewhere around Oba. He owns a very big Seahorse Lubricant. They are into petrochemical, all these oils and all that. So it's relatively novel. So he was telling the youth that, look at the factory. I started building it block by block, building by building, recruiting 1 by 1, 2 by 2, 3 by 3, until we have this whole lot of place occupied. And today, instead of importing finished lubricants, he is now bringing the materials, the raw materials, and processing them here and packaging them. And they are certified by SON. I visited them once and all that. So what are we trying to say? The youth needs to know that this is not the way to go. Kidnapping, killing, maiming, all these abominations are not the way to go. One, they destroy generation. As they commit this evil, pour out this blood, the blood will continue to speak.
There are repercussions.
There are repercussions. So the youth need to, in as much as government need to police, need to put regulations, need to put policies for all that, but then they should understand first that there is repercussion, or there are repercussions for whatever actions, for all this. And then when you hear abomination, they say arrow. It shouldn't be hard that that somebody took his father's wife, for instance, which the son of David did. And then you saw the repercussions. So what are we trying to say? The youth should be taught to stay away from these horrible crimes.
Yes.
Oh, you pick an innocent man, you blindfold him, you cuff him, you take him to a bush, you kill him, go to his account, take his money, and go home and begin to drink champagne. How? It will definitely come back. It will definitely hurt your family. It will definitely hurt your generation. The generation is finished because of blood, innocent blood that are wasted.
Right.
So the youth need to be taught to return back to learn how to be a carpenter, how to be a mechanic, even though
regular apprenticeship.
Exactly, and then apply digital technology solution to solving the problem. You know, when people were learning tailoring in the past, it's different from now. They tell you the designer, and then before you know it, they go to YouTube, craft a few things, and sort themselves out. And from what our forebears were doing, they can do better.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So the opportunities are there.
I agree. The opportunities are there.
And then the Igboman should continue to look at public service, to be a government worker and all that before you survive. No.
No.
You can actually survive.
Thank you so very much, Sir Martins.
Thank you, Chizzy.
I feel as though we are just seated in a cozy environment, just
Oh.
discussing life's issues, but
Yeah.
unfortunately we just have to go now. So thank
Because
you
of
so
time.
much for your insight. I'm sure someone must have picked a thing or two and will change, listening to you talk. So thank you very much.
Signature TV. It's a
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Signature TV. News in your pocket.